What's going on guys, CasualSavage here, and in this video I'm going to be giving you a complete walkthrough on giveaway coming soon. Now of course you guys can already tell compared to my other videos, this is a very long tutorial. And of course the reason for that is because I cover as many things as possible that I think a beginner would benefit from. With that being said, if you're not a beginner to Vegas Pro 16, this video is not for you. However, because I'm being honest with you, make sure you hit the like button, and if you're not subscribed, then hit the subscribe button as well. Now if you are a beginner, then hopefully this video will be beneficial to you, and also at the end of it you should be able to make your own videos in Vegas Pro 16. Now I do also mention this towards the end of the video, but this is a very long tutorial, and if there is anything I missed that you think you will benefit from, then just let me know in the comments and I'll make that video for you as soon as I can. So I've been talking too long, let's just get into the tutorial. Okay, so here we are in Vegas Pro 16, and this is the user interface by default. So the first thing I'm going to be showing you is how to move around things so you have things positioned where you find convenient. For example, the video preview here, you may not like it in this position. Let's say you want it on the left hand side for whatever reason. So to move it, all you do is left click and drag the video preview. So you can see now you've got a hold of it. And it says hold control to dock window. So wherever you find convenient, hold control like I'll do right now and let go of the mouse. You can see it's now been placed over here, and this is how you may prefer it. Just an example, to be honest, I don't like it. And let's say you make a mistake when doing this and you want to go back to normal. What you do is head over to View, Windows Layout and select Default Layout. Now I don't want to spend too much time on this topic simply because it is self-explanatory, and of course it is how you want it. There's no right and there's no wrong way. And the next thing I'm going to be showing you, let's say for example you don't need something like this trimmer, and in my honest opinion, I've been saying this for the past couple of years, trimmer is probably the most useless thing in Vegas Pro. You want to get rid of it, just press the X. Notice it's now gone, it's just video preview. Master bus, it does come useful. If you want to get rid of it, just press the X button. You can see that's how simple it is to remove and place things in Vegas Pro. Now, for example, we've just removed the master bus. Let's say that was by mistake, and you've already changed a lot of things. It's going to be a hassle to reset to default and then go over everything again. So the way you get just one thing back, you head back over to View, and this time you select Window, and you can see everything here is right where you need it. So the ones with the tick are already showing. The master bus is what we just got rid of, so if we select this, you can see it appears back. Simple as that. Final thing I'm going to be showing you with the user interface, you may not like a dark background, you may prefer a lighter background. So to change this, you head over to Options and select Preferences. Now from here you select Display, and you can see where it says Interface Type. So you can go to Medium, Light, or of course White. And next to it are the color shades of how it will look. All you would do is select one, then you would select Apply and OK. You would then need to restart Vegas in order for this effect to take place. So I'll do that for you now. And here we are back in Vegas Pro 16. This time it has the lighter background. And if you're happy with it, then by all means you can keep it. Okay, so I've put mine back to dark simply because this is how I prefer it, but moving on to the next thing. I'm just going to run over the buttons, what we have on screen and how you can make use of them, and I won't make this too long simply because again it is very simple and self-explanatory. First thing over here is the project video properties. So if you select this, you can see you can choose the dimensions and of course the frame rate, which are the most important things of your video. Moving on, we have this button here. As you can see, preview on external monitor. So for those who do have more than one monitor, pretty cool thing here. If you press this button, then it's going to appear on your second monitor. It means you have a full screen of editing, and then you can use all of this part here to work on your timeline. Highly recommended if you work on films or short films or anything of that sort. The next thing here is video output effects. So this is applying an effect which will affect every single thing in your timeline, which I will be showing you a little later on. We then have this thing right here. Now this is the video preview quality. It's something you don't need to worry about when it comes to exporting because it will be in the best quality. However, for those that are new with Vegas, when you first start you may experience some lag when you're trying to play back your video. And the way you would fix that is just come up here, and I always recommend just going to Preview and select Auto. And to be honest, I use the same thing, and then when I'm ready to render I go to Best and Full. The next thing next to it is just some guidelines. Again, I will be showing this later on in the video so you can see how this actually looks. We then have copy snapshot to clipboard. So this is if you take a snapshot, and the way you take a snapshot is selecting this button right next to it, which says save snapshot to file. And moving on to a few more buttons here, play, pause, stop, pretty obvious. However, there are more buttons which you can make use of. So if you select these lines here, which says more buttons, then select edit visible button set. So you can see all these buttons is what you can have on this exact same line. Now to be honest, the ones I used are the frames, so previous and next frame, go to start, and loop playback. Of course, if you find all of them useful, just simply select show all. Once you're happy, just select OK. You can see them buttons now appear. Now moving on to this section on the left, which we've kind of avoided so far, you can see there's something called projects media. Now what projects media is, when you import anything, this could be text from Photoshop, this could be images, this could be video, every single thing will appear right here in your projects media. Just makes it easier for you to go back and select through files, and if you want to make use of it. Next thing we have is Explorer. Explorer sounds pretty obvious. You explore through your files on the computer, you can drag and drop it. This is very convenient for those who have one monitor instead of two monitors. You can just browse through your desktop or your files right from Vegas. The next one we have is transitions. We will be getting onto this later on in the video. Pretty obvious, just create a cool animation between clip A and clip B. We then have video effects. Again, we'll get onto this later on in the video, and again, pretty self-explanatory. It's just simply adding on visual effects to your video to make it more appealing. And moving on to media generators. Now, there is a lot to this. There's quite a few other things you can use, but of course the main thing you're going to be using it for is text. So you can see there's a bunch of different text templates you can use. There's also titles and text, and these ones actually come with animations already built in, which is pretty cool and of course quite useful. Now all I'm going to do is drag and drop a file on. So you can see this right here is my outro, and what I'm going to be showing you first of all, like I mentioned earlier, anything you put in this timeline will appear in your project's media like this has right here. So I'm going to be showing you one very important step. When you import any type of video into Vegas, always right click your video clip, select properties, disable the resample, and uncheck the maintain aspect ratio. Select OK. Now, disable resample, that gets rid of any ghosting. So especially for vlogs when you're moving around, there's quite a lot of movement. Definitely do this, otherwise there's going to be ghosting to your movement. Unchecking maintain aspect ratio, that just removes any black bars. Now moving on to more buttons. So you can see there's now two different tracks. This is the audio track, this is the video track. They look pretty much the same for now, however I will be going over it. So we have a mute button, which basically hides this entire track. You can see it will get blacked out. And then we have a solo button. Now what solo means, any other track will not show, only this track will show. It does come useful, and of course you will make use of it. The next thing on the video track, we have level. Now this is the opacity of your video. So what I'm going to do is drag and drop this image on. As you can see, we can now not see the video underneath. Now even though it's an image, it's also going to be on a video track. So you can see the slider, we can bring this down, and this has now controlled the opacity. Pretty simple. And then to delete a track, you right click it and select delete track. This means anything within this track will get deleted. Now it's the exact same thing for the audio track. We get the mute and the solo button. It has the exact same features as the video track. However, here we have the volume, so we can control how quiet or how loud, or if we just want it muted. Really simple. Again, you can just double click here and be really precise and enter a number. Then we have the pan. Could make some cool effects for this if you're working with sound effects. So this is where you want it to be in the left ear, the right ear. Of course, primarily you just want it to stay center. So more effects for the video track. You select these buttons again and select edit visible button set. Now you can see everything here is what you get. And to be honest, I think everything here is important. So I'm just going to select show all and select OK. Everything is now appeared here, and you can make pretty good use out of this. So these two features here are new in Vegas Pro 16. You can maximize the track height or restore track height, and you can also make the track height small as possible. Moving on, you can see bypass motion blur. We get track motion, which we will get onto later on. We get video effects. Again, this is adding video effects to this entire track. We get automation setting. We get the compositing mode, and again, the same buttons we already have. So you can do the same things with the audio track. Select edit visible button set. Now I'm just going to select show all and OK. So what we have here, the exact same thing, maximize the track, minimize the track, ARM for record, this is when you're recording, say from your microphone directly into Vegas. Record input, master, invert track phase, again adding an effect to the entire track, this is going to be an audio effect. Same thing again, automation setting, and then mute and solo. So moving across here, we're going to be doing some transitions. Now one transition that isn't shown within transitions is a fade. So how do you add a fade? Well, all you do is come to the top left corner or the top right corner, and you can see left click and drag in. This is creating a fade in. So if I play this through, you can see it fades in. Pretty simple. So adding a fade out, you come to the other side, left click and drag and fade it out. So now I'll play it through again. As you can see, we will now create a nice fade out. Now the same works for audio. You left click, drag in, left click, drag in. You can see fade in, fade out. Now moving on to the other transitions we have here, and we'll work with this image again, simply because now we have two separate clips and we can create a transition between them. So you can scroll down and pick which one you like. The ones with S underscore, you won't be able to have them just yet, simply because that is a plugin I have, which is known as Sapphire plugins. I do recommend you check them out, very, very useful. So I'm going to keep it nice and simple, and I'm going to select slide. And all I'm going to do is select slide out top down. You can see if I highlight over it, it shows us an example. So I'm going to drag and drop this in between the clips. So this is going to be the transition from this clip to that clip. So now I'll play it through, and hopefully it does lag, and there's a reason I say that. Okay, there's no lag there simply because it's not a heavy transition. However, if you do see lag, what I mentioned earlier is changing the preview quality to preview and auto. Notice quality isn't as good, however the playback for you will be a lot better and editing will be a lot simpler for you. Now if you want to make the transition longer, then you come in and drag it across, and you can drag it both ways, completely optional. Now this is a 4-second sliding transition, so it's going to be really slow. You can see like that. And then of course you can always press transition properties in the middle. You can change the angle, you can change the direction, you can also add a border, which I'll add right now. You can see just add some style to it. Then to make it really quick, just bring it in. So this is less than a second. I'll play it through. That's what we get. Now let's say you really like that transition. Of course you made it all yourself and you don't want to be playing around with the settings over and over again to get the exact same effect. So what I showed you earlier with the preset, we're going to do it again. So where it says preset, you can type in whatever you would want to. I'll just put that. Then you select save preset. So I'll X out of it. And now notice nothing has appeared here just yet. But if you click off and go back to it, you'll notice right here we have our preset. So this is the one we just created and just saved. So I'll take this transition off. So to take transitions off, you just left click here. And then you select this button here which says remove selected plugin. So that's off and it's just gone to a standard fade. And all we're going to do is left click and drag this on. And you can see, because we saved that preset, we now have every exact same settings back again. So adding fades between clips, all you do is left click and drag back and you can see it overlaps. Now I'll play it through, this is going to fade in just like that. Super simple. That's transitions done. We're now going to head over to video effects. Video effects, again, really a lot of features here to use from, really effective, and I highly recommend you do make use of them. Again, the ones with S underscore you won't have, simply because this is a plugin I have which is known as Sapphire plugins. Now what I'm going to do for this example is use the black and white, simply because it's a feature or it's an effect that's going to be really visible and easy to work with. I'm going to drag and drop this onto my outro track. Notice immediately everything has gone black and white and this clip is still the same. That's because we only added it onto this specific clip. If you want every single thing on your track in black and white or in a certain effect, drag and drop it onto the track itself. So you can see that's now gone black and white. And to edit the entire track, you come back to the track and select the track effects button. Then just remove it. So now it's only this that is black and white. So to bring the effects back up, again press the effects button. So I'm going to be getting onto a bit of animating. It's really simple and black and white is a great way to start. So what you do is select this clock button which says animate, Then sync cursor to media timeline. Now this is one that's very useful and I always recommend you use it. Simply because, I'll just size this down. Wherever I move my cursor here, it's also moving on the timeline and it's moving on our video preview. If I had that off, notice this video preview is no longer moving and our timeline cursor is no longer moving. So it's definitely a really useful tool to make use of. Now we also get at the bottom the time. So it tells us we're now at 2 seconds and 24 frames. All I'm going to do right here, where it says blend amount, I'm going to turn this all the way down. Notice this diamond has appeared and this line has also appeared. If you haven't worked it out yet, this means it's going to go from black and white to color. Really simple. So that's video effects, really simple to use, and now we're going to move on to media generators. So like I said, the main thing for media generators is of course the text. However, you can see there are lots of other things you can use from here, and I'll be testing one now. So for example, this color gradient, pretty cool starburst. I'm going to drag and drop this onto the video track. You can see this is what we get. Now let's say we want some nice text on this. What we're going to be doing is scrolling all the way down, and I always recommend legacy text. However, you can come to titles and text, and you can see you can pick one from here. Again, these are the animated text. So I'm going to select this one right here, which is pop-up, and I'm going to drag and drop this, and notice I'm going to drag it above, and you'll see this blue line appear, which is going to put it on a new track like that. So we can now position the text directly from here, and now we can put any text we would like to. I'm going to put CasualSavage, and then I want to size it down, so I'm going to press Ctrl A, and I'll size it to size 20. If I want to change a font, well, right here we can have control of the font. I'll choose the Terminator font. We then get control of the text color, so you can pick anything you'd like to. If you want black, just drag this left one all the way down. You can make it bold, you can make it italic, completely optional how you want it. If you have multiple pieces of text, you can choose the alignment. And then you can also change the animation from here. Although we did pick pop up, we can change it to anything we'd like to. We then have scale, which is just the size of it. This would be good if you want to animate again. I just showed you how to animate. You'd select this clock button and just work with this slider. Really simple. Now moving on, we have the advanced tab, which isn't really advanced. We just have tracking, which is the spacing between the text. Again, you can create a nice animation from this as well. Then we have line spacing. So for example, we now have a second line. Line spacing, pretty self-explanatory again. And moving on to the outline, so you can have an outline color. Of course, white's going to be good since we already have black. And I'll bring the outline up, and you can see that's now what we get. Pretty cool effect. And then the final thing is the shadow. So you first of all have to enable the shadow, don't miss that, otherwise you wouldn't be able to get that effect. Now, once again, you've created some really nice text. You've taken the time, you've gone through everything. You don't want to be having to remember all of these settings again in order to get the exact same effect. All you need to do is come up to where it says preset, and you can call this pop-up, and then I like just using underscores, and I'll just call this sample. Of course, you can call it whatever you would like to, then select save preset. Once again, X out of it. Notice nothing's here just yet. We can click off, come back to it. Right here it says pop-up underscore sample, so I can drag and drop this on. You can see we have the exact same font and style, and we can type in whatever we'd like to, and it's going to stay in the exact same font. So there's a couple more things I'm going to be showing you, and that is the pan and crop tool and the motion tracking tool. First of all, I will be starting with the pan and crop tool, and I'm going to be using this on the text. So again, we have the sync cursor tool, which I did mention earlier, so hopefully by now you know what that is and how it works. And notice we can't see our text on screen. The reason for that is because it's the animated text. Notice the lag. So you can see that was lagging there, and it may happen to you. If that's the case, just turn the preview down, and then hopefully it works better. So here's the text on screen, and I'm going to come back to the pan and crop. What I'm going to be doing is lay down a keyframe by selecting create keyframe. This means it's going to stay as it is. I'm then going to come across on my timeline to 4 seconds, as you can see. And what I'm going to do is use this button on the left which says size about center, and I'm going to keep this button on the left lock aspect ratio highlighted. What this is going to do is keep everything in proportion. Then this magnet button, enable snapping, is pretty obvious. So you can see it just snaps into place, which gives you less control, but could be good if you want to be accurate. But I'm going to have that off, and I'm just going to drag in the text. And what this is going to do is create a nice zoom in. So I'm going to X out of it. The text is going to do this animation. So you can see it's done this animation, and then it's going to come forward like that as well. Notice it's lagging quite a lot, and what I'm going to show you now is a RAM preview. So all we're going to do is drag these loop regions, which are these yellow dots above your timeline, and drag them over the area we want to RAM preview, aka the area where we don't want any lag for the preview screen. Once you've done that, you're going to press Shift and B on your keyboard, and it's now going to RAM preview it. So once this is done, it means you'll play it back with no lag at all. Okay, so you can see it is basically done now. I don't need to let it go on, so I can just click off it, and now if I play it through, this is now going to have no lag. Pop up and make a small zoom in. Really simple, and that's how you do the pan and crop tool. Now notice there's also something else with the pan and crop tool, which is known as masking. Now masking, I'm actually going to be doing it on this track, simply because there's more to work with here. So again, I'm going to come to the pan and crop, and this time you need to enable the masking by ticking the box. Now you are on the masking track, which is the bottom layer here. So there's a couple of ways to mask. You can use the pen tool, which gives you complete control of how you want to mask wherever you want to and create funky shapes. We then also get a rectangle, so if you want to be more accurate and precise. We then get an oval tool, so you can use that. If you want to stay in proportion, hold Shift and drag out, and you can see you can get a perfect circle. If you make a mistake, let's say you don't want it, you can always right click, reset mask. Now what you can do again is create a cool animation. So what I'm going to do is hold Shift and draw a little circle. And I'm going to zoom in, so you can use the mouse wheel on your on your mouse, and then I'm going to bring this in even more, just like here. Now what I'm going to do is go across on my timeline, and while holding Shift I'm going to drag this out until all the screen is showing perfect, like here. Now we've created a small animation, so it's going to come up like a circle, just like that. Really simple to use, really effective masking is, and I have covered this more in depth in other tutorials, so I do highly recommend you check them out, which I will be providing in the description. Now onto the final thing, which is the track motion tool. Notice it says track motion, which means anything within the track will be affected by this effect. So what you do, of course, is select track motion, and I'm simply going to size this down. Again, just come to the corners to size them down. Now notice over here we have position, 2D shadow, 2D glow. To be honest, 2D glow, 2D shadow you don't need to worry about, because you probably won't end up using them. However, if you do, really simple to use, just enable them and then use them. Really simple. So we have the same tools that we had on the pan and crop, which is lock aspect ratio, scale about center, snapping, enabling rotation, and then we also have prevent move in X and prevent move in Y. Very good way to stay accurate. So motion tracking, the main thing I use it for is simply to position things how I want to, and you'd probably do the same as well. Again, you can do some animating with this. For example, this screen right now, I'm just going to make a quick animation, come across on the timeline, size it down by coming to a corner. Now if I play it through from the beginning, all we've done is make the screen shrink. Pretty simple. You want to do the opposite? Well then you can just come into the corner and bring it up. Now what we've done is made it come from normal to zoom in. However, if you are going to be zooming in, I do recommend using the pan and crop for that. Again, it's just much simpler and you won't be having to use multiple tracks. Now what I'm going to be doing is dragging on some normal legacy text so we don't have any lag. I'm just going to keep it as sample text, but I'm going to come back to the motion tracking. So as you can see, position we have here, and we can simply size this down, reposition it to the top left or bottom left. Now this is going to be good if you're going to be having a watermark on your video, because then this is going to stay in position the entire time. You can drag this watermark, say for example, across your entire timeline, and that is not going to move an inch. To control the opacity, you can use the level here, or you can just come to the top where it says opacity here and drag it down. Really simple way to create a watermark for you. And coming back to the motion tracking, of course this is where you can add a 2D glow, you get control of the color, the intensity, etc., and then also a shadow if you want that as well. However, this can all be done directly into the text part. You won't need to be doing it on the motion tracking. So again, you want it to move. I'm going to come across my timeline to 5 seconds. We'll make it move to the top right, and I'll play it through from the beginning. You can see it's just going to glide across the screen like that. Now to delete keyframes, you can just right click and select delete, and just like that, it's gone. If you want everything to go back to normal, go to that keyframes. For example, this is right at the start. Right click and select restore box. You can see now it's back to the default size. Then final thing I want to be showing you is the rotating and a bit more animation. So we can make it rotate like this, and then I'm also going to size it down at the same time, all the way down. So now you'll notice it's going to spin and rotate. I just said the same thing. I mean, it's going to rotate and it's going to shrink, just like that. That is basically all the basics you need to know. It's really simple. There's nothing more you need to know. Everything I've shown you in this video will get you started, and you'll be able to edit videos in Vegas Pro 16 without a problem. If you think there's something I've missed, then I'll be more than happy to make a tutorial for you on a separate video. Just let me know in the comments below what else you want to see, and I'll be sure to provide it.